Yeah. Listen to the bounce, 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 bounce. Yeah. Listen to the. Listen. Yeah, pull up to the playground in the heavy luxury ride, stepping on the concrete with the absolute Brooklyn pride. The chain neck clinking in the cool evening breeze, breaking the defenders down with the absolute ease. They sweating and hustling while I am perfectly smooth. The street light shining on the heavy physical groove. I am holding the leather sphere like a globe in my palm, dropping the heavy buckets while remaining completely calm. The spectators watching from the chain link fence. The atmosphere is thick and the pressure is incredibly dense, but I am floating to the rim like a ghost in the night, catching the heavy pass directly under the yellow light. I'm rocking the premium silk just to break a quick sweat, making the heavy wages and collecting the winning bet. Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see? This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy plays, ruling the asphalt through the evening haze. Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see? This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy plays, ruling the asphalt through the evening haze. Sneakers squeaking loud on the painted dusty floor. Every single crossover is a violent act of war. You reaching for the steel, but you completely grabbing the air. I'm hitting the fadeaway without a solitary care. The baseline is mine. The painted area is strictly my zone. Sitting on the glass backboard like it is my personal throne. They trying to double team, but I'm passing the heavy dime, perfectly orchestrating the rhythm and the physical time. The yellow streetlights casting the long shadows on the ground. The undisputed king of the absolute heaviest sound. The ice cold champagne waiting strictly by the bench, extinguishing the thirst that the heavy defenders cannot quench. You breathing incredibly heavy, completely out of the gas, while I'm throwing the spectacular behind the back pass. Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see? This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy blade, ruling the asphalt through the evening haze. Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see? This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy blade, ruling the asphalt through the evening haze. The rhythm of the dribble is exactly like a heavy heartbeat. The absolute champion of this legendary Brooklyn street. The bets are getting higher while the night gets incredibly dark. We leaving a permanent legacy right on the public park. The analog scoreboard is strictly keeping my massive lab, providing the visual proof of exactly what I succeed. You thought it was a game, but it is a heavy lesson in style, making the entire neighborhood completely incredibly smile. The moss flying strictly around the glowing yellow ball, while I am completely dissolving your defensive little club. I take the heavy jump shot and hold the physical pose, the absolute perfection that everybody in the project knows. The swish of the chain is the sweetest musical note, the heaviest lyrical poetry that I ever physically wrote.
Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see?
This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy plays,
ruling the asphalt through the evening haze.
Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see?
This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy plays,
ruling the asphalt through the evening. You trying to call a foul, but the street does not have a ref, leaving the entire opposing team completely physically deaf. We playing until the morning, completely ignoring the clock. The absolute heavy diamond is strictly running the block. The leather and the asphalt, the ultimate combination, delivering the heavy basketball. Absolute domination, the final possession. The game is strictly on the line. I'm taking the heavy rock because the victory is permanently mine. Crossover is vicious, leaving the defender in the dirt, proving my absolute maximum, undeniable physical worth. The ball leaves the Vanguardins floating right through the dark air. The crowd holding their breath with the ultimate heavy stare. Nothing but the bottom of the chain, the absolute heavy splash. We taking the heavy respect and collecting the physical cash. Listen to the bounce.
Tell me can't you see? This concrete chord is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy plays, ruling the asphalt through the evening haze. Listen to the bounce, tell me can't you see?
This concrete chord is reflecting my degree,
and I just love your flashy plays,
ruling the asphalt through the evening haze. Walking off the court with the heavy gold on the chest, proving to the entire borough that I am absolutely the best. The street lights fading out as we rolling into the night. We strictly taking the victory without a physical fight. Yeah, game over, baby.
We leaving the court empty.
You keep practicing your jump shot. Yeah. Yeah. Stepping out the project door directly into the freezer morning air. The undisputed champion, completely learning how to physically prepare. The heavy canvas bag strictly resting right on the young shoulder, getting absolutely wiser and significantly physically older. This paper route is a massive metaphor for the absolute grind, leaving the sleeping competitors completely permanently behind. I am rolling up the headlines and snapping the rubber band. The very first heavy steps to controlling this metropolitan land. You sleeping in the warm sheets, completely dreaming about the wealth, while I am strictly building up my absolute physical financial health. The black ink stain in my hands, exactly like the heavy street dirt, putting in the absolute maximum, undeniable physical work.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
Riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues. The bicycle chain clicking strictly in the absolute pitch dark, riding past the sleeping dogs in the empty neighborhood park. I got the perfect physical aim, tossing the paper on the porch, carrying the absolute heavy metropolitan physical torch, hitting every single target with the maximum absolute precision, making the very first heavy independent financial decision. You waiting for the opportunity to completely knock on your door, while I'm aggressively out here strictly demanding absolute more. The cold wind biting right through the cheap physical jacket, but I am mathematically calculating the absolute highest bracket. Every single newspaper thrown is a heavy brick in the wall, guaranteeing that my physical empire will absolutely never fall.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues. The neighborhood is completely silent, just a milkman on the block. I am strictly racing against the heavy ticking analog clock, knowing every single crack directly in the project pavement, escaping from the heavy future of the physical enslavement. I see the absolute raw city before the heavy makeup is applied, building a massive foundation for the ultimate Brooklyn pride. You reading the heavy headlines exactly when the sun comes up. I already drank the bitter struggle from the heavy physical cup, delivering the absolute truth completely straight to your front mat. You original street hustler, strictly tell me where you physically at. The smoke spinning fast, reflecting the yellow street lamp glow. The absolute earliest hustler that you will ever physically know.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues. Then comes the heavy collection day, strictly knocking on the wood, gathering the small change directly from the physical hood, collecting every single dime and stacking the heavy copper pennies, preparing to buy the luxury suites strictly at the physical Denny's. You laughing at the small change, completely missing the grand scheme, while I am strictly financing the absolute ultimate physical dream. The heavy jingling in the pocket is the sweetest musical sound, the absolute heaviest foundation, strictly built right on the underground, learning exactly how to negotiate and strictly secure the bag, never letting the absolute physical metropolitan momentum lag. The paper boy is the absolute original general of the street, ensuring that the entire family will permanently physically eat.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues.
Listen to the ring, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning hustle is reflecting my degree, and I
just love your flashy news.
riding through the neighborhood and paying physical dues. Now the canvas bag is strictly replaced by the luxury briefcase, but I still completely run the entire metropolitan physical space. The work ethic absolutely never changed, only the physical amount, strictly multiplying the numbers.
inside the heavy bank account. I look back at the bicycle in the frozen morning dew.
Listen to the city. Yeah. Stepping, stepping out the yellow taxi directly into the flashing light. The absolute metropolitan center of the dangerous physical night. The massive neon signs, strictly blinding the weak, jealous eyes. A beautiful heavy illusion, completely covering the underground lies. This raw concrete intersection is a massive metaphor for the game. Everybody rushing, completely desperately searching for the fake fame. The peep show marquees and the heavy smoke strictly in the air. The undisputed champion walking through without a physical care. You getting completely lost in the heavy bright neon distraction, while I am strictly mathematically calculating the heavy fraction. The tourist completely frozen by the heavy electrical glow, while I am smoothly navigating exactly where I physically go. Listen to the city. Tell me, can't you see? These heavy neon lights are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze.
Listen to the city.
Tell me, can't you see? These heavy neon lights are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze. The three-car money hustler strictly working the cardboard box. The absolute raw predator strictly controlling the physical blocks. You betting your heavy paper, completely chasing the red queen card. But the absolute street geometry is completely incredibly hard. I am wearing the silk suit, perfectly matching the dark heavy mood, completely ignoring the aggressive metropolitan physical attitude. The reflections of the red lights bouncing off the heavy gold chain. Walking completely dry directly through the heavy physical rain. A rundown theater showing the absolute dirtiest midnight movies. The undercover player strictly wearing the heavy premium suede booties. I am taking the absolute chaos and completely making it mine. Walking a perfectly straight path directly on the boundary line.
Listen to the city. Tell me, can't you see?
These heavy neon lights
all reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze.
Listen to the city. Tell me, can't you see?
These heavy neon lights
all reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze. The steam completely hissing directly out of the heavy iron grate, adding a heavy fog to the absolute physical metropolitan fate. The siren scream is strictly in the heavy background noise, separating the absolute heavy men from the terrified local boys. You looking up at the billboards, completely breaking your physical neck, while I am strictly protecting the heavy absolute physical check. The flashing bulbs popping, lighting up the dirty concrete street. The heaviest lyrical stepper strictly bringing the absolute heat. We dominating the absolute center of the dangerous physical world, watching the heavy metropolitan mysteries completely entirely unfurl. The shadows and the players completely blending into the dark. The absolute rawest environment completely outside the central park.
Listen to the city. Tell me, can't you see?
These heavy neon lights
are reflecting my degree. I just love your flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze.
Listen to the city. Tell me, can't you see?
These heavy neon lights
are reflecting my degree. I just love your flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze. The giant billboard signs completely bathed in the black and the red, ensuring that the entire physical empire is strictly heavily fed. The absolute epicenter of the heavy continuous physical hustle, where you absolutely have to prove your heavy intellectual muscle. I am looking at the absolute chaos with the coldest physical stare. The absolute undisturbed king of the entire physical flashing square. They trying to sell you the heavy illusions and the artificial dreams, but I am strictly dismantling their entire physical metropolitan schemes. You getting absolutely robbed, completely blind in the bright white light, while I am strictly securing the heavy paper in the middle of the night. The absolute undeniable core of the old school physical grind. The undisputed heavyweight, strictly standing the heavy test of time.
Listen to the city. Tell me, can't you see?
These heavy neon lights
are reflecting my degree. And I just love your flash flashy ways.
Walking through the center of the metropolitan maze.
Listen to the city, tell me can't you see?
These heavy neon lights
are reflecting my degree. I just love your flashy ways.
walking through the center of the metropolitan maze. The garbage, blow, 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 the garbage blown. Yeah. The garbage blowing strictly across the heavy avenue asphalt. If you lose your heavy focus, it is absolutely your own physical fault. The neon is completely buzzing with the heavy electrical hum. Beating the physical rhythm exactly like a heavy snare drum. We walking directly through the absolute belly of the physical beast.
The physical beast.
Yeah, step off. Step off the bright avenue for a second. Follow me into the dark brick hallway. You smell that heavy aerosol in the air? This is the absolute real newspaper of the streets, the concrete history book. You gotta know exactly how to read the heavy graffiti. Shake the aluminum can, listen to the metal bar click. Brooklyn, Big Papa style. Stepping directly into the shadows, away from the heavy street light. Navigating the absolute secrets of the dangerous physical night. The brick walls completely covered in the heavy colorful paint, exposing the absolute sinners and protecting the neighborhood saint. This secret alleyway is a massive metaphor for the underground mind, the hidden metropolitan pathways that the tourists absolutely never find. I shake the heavy aluminum can and hear the physical rattle, preparing for the absolute ultimate metropolitan psychological battle. The graffiti is the heavy language that only the real soldiers speak, providing the absolute maximum strength to the physically weak. You walking on the main boulevard, completely blind to the fact, while I am reading the painted walls and preparing exactly how to act. Listen to the hiss.
Tell me can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy tag.
Carrying the aerosol, strictly in the heavy bag.
Listen to the hiss. Tell me can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy tag.
Carrying the aerosol, strictly in the heavy bag. The red paint completely dripping strictly like the physical blood, exposing the fake empires, absolutely dragging them through the mud. I see a jealous competitor got his heavy name crossed completely out, proving to the entire borough exactly what the street is about. The aerosol hissing exactly like a dangerous heavy snake, calculating the absolute moves that the local hustlers are about to make. We spraying the heavy masterpiece strictly under the cover of dark, leaving a permanent physical legacy directly next to the park. You're trying to erase the history with the heavy chemical wash, but the absolute truth of the block is completely incredibly posh. The mural is completely massive, stretching down the entire block, strictly ignoring the heavy ticking of the metropolitan clock.
Listen to the hiss. Tell me can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy tag.
Carrying the aerosol, strictly in the heavy bag.
Listen to the hiss. Tell me can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy tag.
Carrying the aerosol, strictly in the heavy bag. The puddles in the alley reflecting the heavy pale moon. The undercover operators completely singing a different tune. I am stepping over the broken glass, strictly in the premium suede, knowing exactly how the heavy metropolitan paper is actually made. The secrets of the city are written strictly in the wild style fine. I absolutely take exactly what I physically undeniably want. You completely lost in the maze, taking a heavy wrong turn, while I'm watching the fake reputations completely absolutely burn. The heavy iron fire escape, completely cast in the dark shadow, operating smoothly directly in the absolute dangerous ghetto. The spray paint is the heavy weapon of the intellectual mind, leaving the ignorant competition completely physically behind.
Listen to the hiss. Tell me can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy tag.
Carrying the aerosol, strictly in the heavy bag.
Listen to the hiss. Tell me can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy tag.
Carrying the aerosol, strictly in the heavy bags. The heavy fumes filling the lungs, strictly providing the high. The undisputed heavyweight champion reaching the absolute sky. We tagging the heavy rooftops and the dangerous train yards, playing the absolute winning hand with the heavy physical cars. The city strictly tries to paint completely over the heavy truth, but we absolutely
absolutely educating the entire metropolitan youth. You cannot silence the concrete when the brick decides to speak. We turning the heavy volume completely up to the physical peak. I am reading the absolute warnings painted strictly on the side door, ensuring that I absolutely settle the heavy physical score. The alleyway is my sanctuary, completely away from the noise, separating the absolute heavy legends from the sweating local boys.
Listen to the hits, tell me, can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree,
and I just love your flashy tag.
carrying the aerosol strictly in the heavy bag.
Listen to the hits, tell me, can't you see?
These painted brick walls are reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy tag.
carrying the aerosol strictly in the heavy bags. I button up the silk shirt, strictly step out of the dark.
Just the regular,
Just the regular.
just the regular
Just the regular
black coffee,
Absolutely no sugar.
and leave the morning edition right here on the table.
And keep the heavy chain.
Brooklyn, baby,
We making moves before the sun.
even decides to wake up.
Watch the ink completely dry.
Stepping in the diner when the sky is completely gray, mathematically calculating the entire physical day. The bell on the glass door completely ringing right behind me, sitting in the back booth where the enemies cannot find me, pouring the black liquid strictly into the heavy ceramic, avoiding the neighborhood stress and the metropolitan panic. I flip the front page of the heavy morning paper, reading the absolute details of the midnight caper. The black ink stain in my fingers like the heavy street soot, putting the heavy pressure completely on the physical foot. We eating the competition for the early morning breakfast, leaving the fake associates completely, absolutely breathless. The scrambled eggs strictly served with the side of the raw truth. The undisputed heavyweight sitting
In the corner booth. Listen to the pour. Tell me, can't you see?
this early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physical
Listen to the
dues.
pour. Tell me, can't you see?
This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physical. The waitress pouring the refill, completely smelling the steam. Waking up from the heavy, luxurious metropolitan dream. I skip the sports section, strictly checking on the local crime, seeing which of the fake hustlers are completely doing the time. The newspaper is a map of the entire physical city, displaying the absolute winners and the desperate pity. I take a heavy sip of the bitter, unadulterated, being the absolute sharpest operator on the entire physical scene. You sleeping in the bed while I am strictly gathering the intel, navigating completely through the metropolitan cartel. The coffee is completely black, exactly like the street heart, taking the fake organizations completely physically apart. The toast is completely buttered, the strategy is perfectly laid, calculating exactly how the entire crew
Is getting paid. Listen to the pour. Tell me, can't you see?
This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physical dues.
Tell me, can't you see?
This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physical. The steam rising up, strictly blocking my designer shades. Watching the local street hustlers executing their heavy trades. The diner is a neutral zone, strictly for the early birds, where the heaviest actions speak much louder than the words. You chewing on the lies while I'm swallowing the absolute facts, preparing a heavy arsenal for the afternoon attacks. The rustle of the paper is the sweetest morning symphony, building the absolute highest level of the physical infantry. The syrup pouring slowly right over the heavy pancakes, observing the morning routine of all the neighborhood fakes. I fold the heavy paper and tuck it strictly under the arm, exuding the heavy confidence and the absolute physical charm. The breakfast of the champions, strictly fueling the massive brain, preparing to step back into the heavy
Freezing rain. Listen to the pour. Tell me, can't you see?
This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physical dues.
Tell me, can't you see?
This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physical. The financial section show
showing me exactly where the money flows.
The undisputed king of every single physical thing you know.
The coffee keeping the eyelids
Completely heavy and peeled,
protecting the heavy secrets
that the underground concealed.
The porcelain cup clinking strictly against the heavy saucer.
I am the absolute author of
The Metropolitan Rasta.
We breaking the fast while we breaking the absolute rules, leaving the sleeping competitors looking completely like fools. The morning ritual is the anchor of the absolute physical grind.
The absolute sharpest intellect that you will ever physically find.
The bacon is completely crispy, exactly like the new dollar bill, sitting in the warm diner, mathematically preparing to kill. We reading between the lines of the heavy black printed text, mathematically anticipating
Exactly who is moving next. Listen to the pour, tell me, can't you see?
This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy news.
Reading the heavy headlines and paying the physics to
Listen to
do.
the pour, tell me, can't you see? This early morning coffee is reflecting my degree.
Yeah. The asphalt is melting directly under the heavy leather shoe. The entire neighborhood is completely wondering exactly what to do. The humidity is choking the physical breath directly out your chest. The metropolitan summer putting the soldiers to the ultimate test. I step up to the corner with the heavy iron wrench in my hand, the absolute undisputed king of this boiling concrete land. I twist the heavy metal valve and the pressure completely breaks, washing away the heavy drama and the sweating local fakes. The water erupts exactly like a heavy champagne fountain, the absolute greatest victory on top of the physical mountain. The little kids running directly into the heavy freeze and spray, washing the absolute heavy metropolitan struggle completely away.
Listen to the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer
Listen to
days.
the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer days. This open fire hydrant is a massive metaphor for the wealth, pouring the heavy resources completely back into the physical health. You hoarding all the paper, strictly keeping the neighborhood dry, while I am blasting the heavy water directly up into the sky. The little girls jumping rope completely barefoot on the street, laughing at the heavy pressure of the absolute boiling heat. I am sitting in the lawn chair, silk shirt completely unbuttoned, ensuring that the entire physical block is absolutely glutted. The heavy stream of water washing the dirty project pavement, releasing the entire avenue from the physical enslavement. We turning the rough corner completely into a premium oasis, providing the absolute relief on a heavy daily basis.
Listen to the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer
Listen to
days.
the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Cooling down the block through the melting sun. The rainbow forming strictly in the heavy mist above the ground. The absolute most beautiful metropolitan physical sound. The splashing of the water mixing with the heavy boombox bass, putting a permanent smile directly on every single project face. The jealous competitors watching from the heavy sweat and distance, realizing they completely lack the absolute physical resistance. You driving a hot car with a broken air conditioning unit, while I am strictly orchestrating the heavy neighborhood movement. The ice cream truck rolling slowly, completely down the avenue. I am buying the heavy treats for the entire physical crew. We taking the heavy heat wave and making it completely cool, turning the burning intersection directly into a swimming pool.
Listen to the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer days.
Listen to the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer days. The patrol car rolling past, but they completely refuse to stop. Recognizing the heavy authority of the absolute neighborhood top. We breaking the city ordinance,
but we keeping the physical peace. The undisputed general providing the ultimate release. The water flowing strictly down the heavy concrete gutter, leaving the fake associates completely, absolutely a flood of the heavy drops, landing perfectly on the tinted luxury glass. Watching the beautiful neighborhood women completely smoothly pass. This is exactly how you share the ultimate heavy physical crown. The absolute greatest benefactor in this magnificent town. I twist the heavy wrench and let the water completely flow. The absolute sharpest street operator that you will ever know.
Listen to the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love you flashing away.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer day.
Listen to the splash, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer water is reflecting my degree.
And I just love you flashing away.
Cooling down the block through the melting summer day. The sun is finally dropping strictly behind the brick building wall. The absolute greatest heavy metropolitan summer of them all. The kids are completely exhausted, shivering in the evening breeze. We eliminated the heavy stress with the absolute physical ease. The open hydrant is the symbol of the completely endless supply. The heavy underground rivers that were absolutely never dry. I step up to the iron and perfectly tighten the heavy valve.
We taking over the green right now. Central Park. The whole borough crossed the bridge today. Smell that charcoal?
That is the smell of absolute victory.
We feeding the whole entire block, Big Papa style.
Watch the smoke rise.
The smoke is rising heavy right above the green tree line. The undisputed champion is mathematically doing fine. We brought the heavy coolers back completely with the ice. Enjoying the physical paradise, paying the ultimate price. The charcoal is burning hot, exactly like the street game. We flipping the heavy ribs, securing the physical name. This neighborhood picnic is a massive metaphor for the spread. We feeding the entire block, making sure the crew is fed. You hoarding your heavy paper, eating completely alone, while I am hosting a massive banquet, sitting on the lawn throne. The paper plates bending from the heavy physical weight. We strictly celebrating the absolute magnificent fate.
Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough from the absolute east.
Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough from the absolute dominoes, slapping strictly on the folding wooden table. We reading the heavy opponents, proving that we are able. It is exactly like the street hustle, reading the physical bluff. The competition is sweating, realizing the game is tough. I pour the premium liquor directly into the plastic cup. The entire physical neighborhood is strictly coming completely up. We left the heavy drama right on the burning concrete, relaxing in the cool shade, enjoying the physical treat. The sweet barbecue sauce dripping strictly on the white silk shirt. But I am completely unbothered of raising the physical dirt. The only heavy beef we got is roasting right on the grill. We maintaining the absolute peace,
completely quiet and chill. Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough from the absolute east.
Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough from the absolute. The little kids running around, playing in the physical grass. I am watching the younger generation completely effortlessly pass. The elders sitting strictly in the comfortable aluminum chairs. We washing away the struggle in the heavy metropolitan cares. The boom box pumping out the heavy rhythm and bass, bringing the absolute joy to every single project face. This is the absolute wealth, sharing the heavy physical bread, ensuring that every single soldier is comfortably physically fed. You talking about the heavy rich is completely missing the point. The undisputed general is completely blessing the joint. The macaroni salad in the heavy potato size. We taking the absolute neighborhood on a luxurious ride.
Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough from the absolute east.
Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough from the absolute
golden chain shining strictly underneath the summer sun. The heavy metropolitan war is completely physically won. We trading the heavy steel for the plastic forks and the knives, improving the absolute quality of our physical project lives. The ladies looking beautiful, wearing the heavy summer dress. We eliminating the absolute heavy physical stress. I take a heavy bite of the perfectly seasoned meat. The absolute greatest victory occurring off the street. The heavy smoke strictly blowing directly into the sky. We spreading the absolute love and absolutely reaching incredibly high. No undercover cops completely trying to ruin the vibe. We strictly taking care of the entire physical tribe.
Listen to the sizzle. This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy feet. Feeding the whole borough from the absolute east. Listen to the sizzle, tell me, can't you see?
This heavy summer banquet is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy feet.
Feeding the whole borough
From the absolute east.
The sun is slowly dipping right behind the heavy skyline.
The absolute greatest afternoon.
It's strictly permanently mine. We back. We back in the heavy coolers and folding the wooden tables, erasing the heavy myths.
And the absolute tragic fable.
The charcoal turning to ash.
Exactly like the old hate.
We strictly commanding
The absolute physical.
metropolitan fate
The undisputed host.
of the heavy neighborhood jam.
Turn the bass up a little bit. It is incredibly hot out here today. Turn the bass up. Turn the bass up a little bit. Turn the bass up. Time. Turn the bass up. Yeah. Turn the bass up a little bit. It is incredibly hot out here today. You can see the waves rising right off the concrete, but we staying absolutely freezing, hotter than your average. Watch me twist the cork off the glass and observe the savage. The pavement is shimmering, the temperature is strictly rising. Everybody is sweating, but my crew is completely enterprising. The sun beating down like the heavy pressure from the law, melting the weak players, exposing every single flaw. This 100-degree weather is a massive metaphor for the grind. The heavy heat stroke creeping on a jealous player's mind. The asphalt is burning right through the leather shoe, watching how the block boils. What are you gonna do? The humidity is thick like the tension in the air. The rivals cruising by, giving everybody the heavy stare. But I am sitting in the shade, silk shirt completely unbuttoned, ignoring the absolute chaos, leaving the enemies completely glutted. Listen to the heat, tell me, can't you see? This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting summer days. Listen to the heat, tell me, can't you see? This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting summer. Catch me chilling in the cool breeze with the linen completely pressed. The neighborhood is baking, passing the ultimate physical test. The fire hydrant bursting, trying to cool the violent beef, but the sun is unforgiving, offering absolutely zero relief. It is exactly like the struggle, the heavy burning in the chest. Only the coolest operators are rising high above the rest, drinking the ice cold champagne to lower down the blood rate, ignoring all the whispers and the undercover sweat and hate. The thermometer is breaking, reaching for the absolute top, just like the ambition when the money absolutely never stop. We standing in the inferno, breathing completely fine and slow, drawing a cold circle around my physical boundary line. You know, they losing their mind from the heavy boiling pressure, but I am treating this hot block like a laid-back leisure.
Listen to the heat, tell me, can't you see?
This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting summer days.
Listen to the heat, tell me, can't you see?
This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting
Summer.
Yeah, the mirage on the street is looking exactly like a pool of gold, but it is just a heavy trick making the weak ones instantly fold. The heat wave is a strict judge, testing out your heavy spine while I'm sitting in the cool breeze, drinking the premium wine. Let the asphalt melt, let the concrete completely crack. We got the ice cold strategy, absolutely never looking back. You panting like a dog running out of the physical breath, while I'm smoothly navigating through the valley of the shadow of death. The hotter the block gets, the cooler my temperature drops. We completely ignoring the rivals and bypassing the local cops. It is the absolute pressure cooker testing who was built to last. I'm leaving the sweating cowards strictly in the burning past.
Listen to the heat, me, can't you see?
This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting
Summer days. Tell me, can't you see?
This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting summer The shadows getting longer, but the pavement is still radiating. The heavy desperation in the air is strictly captivating. You see the young players burning out before the midnight hour, while I'm sitting on the throne, strictly preserving the power. The fan is spinning slowly on the ceiling of the luxury suite, while the absolute madness is cooking down on the street. They beefing over corners that are melting in the heavy haze, lost inside the violent and confusing summer maze. I spark the Cuban cigar, let the thick smoke slowly rise, blocking out the blinding sun with the dark designer eyes. The ice cubes clinking in the heavy crystal glass, watching the temporary empires violently crash and pass. The heat is just an oven testing who was actually raw, the most vicious summer temperature that Brooklyn ever saw.
Listen to the heat, tell me, can't you see?
This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting summer days.
Listen to the heat, tell me, can't you see?
This burning summer weather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ways.
Surviving through these melting
Summer days.
You're sweating through the cheap fabric, completely losing your cool, jumping into heavy drama like a desperate swimming pool. But the water is boiling, strictly scalding. Yeah. Yeah. The line raps the line. The line raps. The line raps completely around the entire avenue, blocking the view. The dedicated soldiers braving the cold, paying the physical due. It is exactly like the struggle for the heavy premium paper, waiting in the freezing wind, avoiding the jealous hater. You want the fresh out the box, exclusive heavy heat to leave the permanent footprint right on the Brooklyn street. But the patience is a virtue, testing your absolute spine, while I am sitting in the luxury coupe watching the line. I got the backdoor connection, strictly pulling the string, the undisputed heavyweight sneaker, absolute king. But I respect the heavy grind of the cats on the pavement, treating this retail release exactly like an enslavement, breaking out the folding chairs in the heavy winter coats, comparing the old models and strictly taking the notes. Listen to the street, tell me, can't you see? This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy pace, tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. Listen to the street, tell me, can't you see? This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy pace, tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. The sun is slowly rising directly over the concrete horizon, the anticipation building, the absolute heavy sizing. You got the cats trying to cut the line and start the beef, but the enforcers on the corner bringing the quick relief. It is the perfect metaphor for climbing up the physical ladder, the freshest kicks making your entire reputation fatter. I smell the fresh glue and the pristine touch sway, the absolute ultimate reason why we getting heavily paid. The display window shining like a massive diamond ring, we strictly collecting the finest material that the city can bring. You gotta wait your absolute turn in this dangerous game, or completely lose your position and your physical name. The line is just a test of the ultimate absolute loyalty, stepping on the asphalt like the metropolitan royalty. Listen to the street, tell me, can't you see? This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy pace, tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. Listen to the street, tell me, can't you see? This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy pace, tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. The iron gates rolling up the heavy metallic sound, the absolute biggest physical event in the underground. You stepping in the store like you walking directly into the bank, checking your physical reflection and pulling your heavy rank. The crisp paper wrapping inside the cardboard box, the ultimate street currency controlling the project blocks. I lace them up perfectly, strictly keeping them clean, the sharpest visual element in the metropolitan scene. You crease the toe box, you losing the absolute respect. I'm stepping over the puddles, protecting my heavy investment, leaving the fake players completely in the physical resentment. Clean white rubber is blinding the jealous eyes, the ultimate physical proof that I strictly monopolize. Listen to the street, tell me, can't you see? This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy pace, tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. Listen to the street, tell me, can't you see? This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy pace, tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. The camp out on the
sidewalk with the heavy thermos of tea, avoiding the undercover cops that are strictly watching me. It is the survival of the freshest, the ultimate urban test. Only the absolute dedicated are claiming the physical best. I got the limited edition, strictly wrapped in the plastic, making the entire neighborhood completely enthusiastic. You wearing the beat up soles, dragging your heavy feet while I'm smoothly gliding across the legendary street. The price tag is heavy, but the absolute status is higher. Walking through the project asphalt, strictly dodging the fire. The sneaker line is the absolute struggle to reach the top. You gotta stand your ground until the heavy inventory drop.
Listen to the street, tell me can't you see?
This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy pace,
Tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace.
listen to the street, tell me can't you see?
This fresh out the box leather is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy pace,
Tying up the heavy, strictly premium lace. The transaction is complete. The cash is strictly delivered. The jealous competitors on the corner completely shivered, walking out the glass doors with the heavy premium bag, letting the authentic Brooklyn attitude heavily sag. This is not about the shoe, it is about the physical crown. The absolute heaviest ever in this magnificent town. Keep your laces completely tight and your vision clear. Undisputed champion of the absolute physical year.
The sun is the sun is the sun. Listen to the sun is setting behind the brownstone, completely casting a shade. The original architects of exactly how the physical paper is made. We're sitting on the wooden porch with the heavy premium smoke, watching the young hustlers completely going physically broke. The ivory bone slapping loud right on the folding card table, proving to the entire borough that we are absolutely able. This game of dominoes is a massive metaphor for the street, calculating the heavy numbers and avoiding the absolute defeat. You holding your pieces, trying to completely hide your sweating hand, while I am effortlessly controlling this entire metropolitan land. I match the heavy sixes, locking down the absolute board, the undisputed veteran that you completely cannot afford.
listen to the bones, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy place,
slapping the ivory through the Brooklyn days.
listen to the bones, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy place,
slapping the ivory through the Brooklyn days. The porch is completely creaking under the absolute heavyweight, the physical manifestation of the ultimate metropolitan fate. The elders sipping the dark liquor strictly from the heavy glass, watching the temporary empires violently crash and entirely pass. You rushing down the avenue completely out of your physical mind, while we are leaving the absolute heavy panic completely behind. We strictly playing the long game, holding the heavy blank pieces, watching how the absolute respect in the neighborhood strictly increases. Every single bone is a soldier perfectly placed on the block. We strictly ignoring the heavy ticking of the analog clock. The strategy is completely flawless, the execution is raw. The absolute smoothest operators that the borough ever saw.
listen to the bones, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy place,
slapping the ivory through the Brooklyn days.
listen to the bones, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy place,
slapping the ivory through the Brooklyn days. The young cats walking by with the heavy gold on the chest, thinking they can put the absolute veterans to the physical test. But we built the entire foundation that you are standing upon. We played the absolute heavy game long before the break and the dawn. I read your body language, I know exactly what you physically hold. You folding under the pressure while I remain completely cold. The dominoes forming a heavy snake completely across the wood. The absolute undisputed rulers of the physical project hood. You bluffing with the low numbers, hoping to catch a quick break. I'm slamming the heavy double, taking exactly what I physically make. The heavy cigar ash falling strictly onto the concrete step, maintaining the absolute maximum undeniable physical rap.
listen to the bones, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy place,
slapping the ivory
through the Brooklyn days. Listen to the bones, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree,
And I just love your flashy place,
slapping the ivory.
through the Brooklyn
The
days.
street lights completely flicking on, illuminating the entire game. The absolute physical legends with the undeniable heavy name. We
Counting up the heavy dots, mathematically keeping the score, leaving the fake competitors completely begging for absolute more. The board is completely locked, you absolutely cannot physically move. We settling deeply into the heavy physical metropolitan groove. The wisdom is completely heavy, strictly passed through the violent years, erasing the neighborhood panic and the absolute physical fears. We never lifting the heavy finger to strictly control the street, just sipping the premium cognac and enjoying the physical treat. The final piece hits the table, the absolute victory is incredibly loud. The heaviest strategist strictly sitting in front of the local crowd.
Listen to the bone, tell me can you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy play,
Slapping the ivory through the Brooklyn days.
listen to the bone, tell me can't you see?
This heavy porch game is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy play,
Slapping the ivory through the Brooklyn days. The respect is completely thick, exactly like the summer humidity. We operate in the entire block with the maximum absolute fluidity. You trying to learn the heavy rules, but you completely lacking the soul. The undisputed grandmasters taking the absolute physical control. Your wooden porch is the heavy dome, strictly overlooking the kingdom. We delivering the heavy truth, and then the absolute physical wisdom. The ivory dominoes clinking right in the heavy physical palm. The sun is sun is sun is sun is sun is sun is.
Yeah. The heavy trash cans. The wailing siren screaming directly down the heavy avenue, warning all the local players exactly what the precinct gonna do. But I am sitting completely still inside the luxury leather ride. Let the flashing red lights pass completely by my physical side. Yo, this heavy metropolitan noise is a massive metaphor for the stress, testing if your physical chest can handle the absolute heavy press. The crowd is constantly buzzing, a heavy swarm of the dangerous bees, whispering the fake rumors, strictly spreading the absolute disease. But I am completely immune. My physical focus is completely sharp, plucking the heavy street heartstrings exactly like a golden harp. The background chatter is just a heavy soundtrack to my absolute rise, ignoring the heavy panic reflecting directly in your jealous eyes. Listen to the noise, tell me can't you see?
This heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sound,
Ruling the concrete,
strictly through the underground bounds. Listen to the noise, tell me can't you see?
this heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sound,
Ruling the concrete,
strictly through the underground bounds. The heavy rumble of the train completely shaking my physical shoe. The underground artery strictly pumping the massive revenue. The iron wheel screeching directly on the heavy steel track. The absolute physical momentum that is absolutely never looking back. You vibrating from the fear, feeling the heavy metropolitan quake, while I'm strictly calculating exactly what I physically need to make. The subway is the heavy bass, strictly booming from the absolute deep, waking up the fake associates from the desperate heavy sleep. We riding the physical rhythm of the absolute raw street grime, turning the heavy city friction perfectly into the premium dime. The screeching brakes are a strictly heavy, violent, absolute song, proving to the entire borough exactly where I permanently belong.
listen to the noise,
Tell me can't you see?
this heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sound,
Ruling the concrete,
strictly through the underground bounds.
listen to the noise,
Tell me can't you see?
this heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sound,
Ruling the concrete,
strictly through the underground bounds. The heavy yellow cabs honking, creating the absolute massive jam, completely demonstrating exactly who I absolutely physically am. The undisputed heavy conductor of this violent metropolitan orchestra, stepping out the luxury suite and stepping strictly into the raw. You covering your heavy ears, completely losing your physical mind, leaving your entire fragile strategy completely permanently behind. I take a deep breath of the heavy exhaust and the premium smoke, watching the weak competitors financially and physically choke. The sirens intertwining strictly with the heavy crowd roar, and violently kicking down the heavy luxurious mahogany door. The decibels are strictly rising, breaking the physical window glass, watching the temporary local legends completely absolutely pass.
listen to the noise,
Tell me can't you see?
this heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I
just love your flashy sounds.
Ruling the concrete,
Strictly through the underground bounds.
listen to the noise.
Tell me, can't you see?
This heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sounds.
Ruling the concrete,
Strictly through the underground bounds. The helicopter chopping the heavy air right above the project roof, providing the entire neighborhood with the absolute physical proof. The heavy spotlight searching the dark alleys in the wet concrete. But I am completely invisible, smoothly gliding strictly down the street. The heavy city noise is exactly like a heavy camouflage net, hiding my absolute strategy completely without a single sweat. You trying to whisper your fake plans, but the city is incredibly loud. I am delivering the heavy physical speech strictly to the crowd. The undisputed king of the heavy acoustic metropolitan violent zone, sitting comfortably directly on the absolute physical iron throne. The sirens are my absolute trumpets, strictly announcing the king, controlling exactly every single absolute metropolitan living thing.
listen to the noise.
Tell me, can't you see?
This heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sound.
Ruling the concrete, strictly through the underground bounds. Listen to the noise.
Tell me, can't you see?
This heavy street symphony is reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy sound.
Ruling the concrete, strictly through the underground bounds.
The heavy trash cans crashing, echoing completely down the block. I am strictly synchronizing my moves with the heavy analog clock. The city absolutely never sleeps. The heavy noise is a permanent loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep the three-wheel motion.
Let's stop.
Strictly like Brooklyn style.
Taking over the boulevard. Lift the heavy bass.
Keep shaking.
Yeah.
The entire trunk.
Yeah. Coasting down the avenue, the sky's turning completely purple. The gold wild wheel spinning perfectly in a Florida circle. The heavy hydraulic fluid pumping directly through the metallic vein. Navigating through the project struggle, completely avoiding the pain. The sunset is a masterpiece painted directly on the dashboard. The undisputed heavyweight champion that you strictly afford. We bouncing over the potholes, protecting the heavy stash, turning the absolute nothing into the premium folding cash. The candy apple red is strictly blinding the jealous eyes. The ultimate street king claiming the absolute physical prize. Three-wheel motion, strictly scraping the heavy chrome. The luxurious plush velvet interior that I call my home, making the entire neighborhood stop and heavily stare. Blowing the premium cigar smoke directly into the evening air.
Listen to the bounce. Tell me, can't you see?
This boulevard sunset
It's reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ride.
Cruising through the city with the absolute pride. Listen to the bounce. Tell me, can't you see?
This boulevard sunset
It's reflecting my degree.
And I just love your flashy ride.
Cruising through the city with the absolute pride.
Hitting the heavy switch, lifting the front end incredibly high, pointing the golden hood ornament directly at the darkening sky. We dipping and dropping, surviving the heavy street gravity, avoiding the undercover cops in the neighborhood tragedy. You driving a regular vehicle, feeling completely stressed, while I am cruising at 10 miles an hour, absolutely blessed. The reflection in the storefront window is a beautiful sight. The heavy metallic flake glowing in the fading orange light. This low rider is a massive metaphor for the elevation, rising completely above the desperate metropolitan situation. We taking the absolute lows and turning them into the highs. A smooth, luxurious ride right under the magnificent skies. The steering wheel is wooden, strictly imported and rare. The ultimate physical manifestation of a millionaire.
Listen to the bounce. Tell me, can't you see?
This boulevard sunset
It's reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy ride. Cruising through the city with the absolute pride. Listen to the bounce. Tell me, can't you see?
This boulevard sunset
It's reflecting my degree. And I just love your flashy ride. Cruising through the city with the absolute pride.
The engine is rumbling, a heavy mechanical beast. We strictly eating in competition at the magnificent street feast. The dual exhaust pipes breathing the heavy gasoline breath. The smooth, luxurious ride directly through the valley of death. The boulevard is a runaway, strictly for the heavy players, avoiding the local traps and the desperate sweating betrayers. The hydraulics hissing loud, sounding exactly like a snake bite. We mathematically taking over the entire physical night. The transition from the daylight into the dangerous dark, leaving the permanent tire marks right on the public park. You're speeding through the traffic, completely rushing your fate, while I'm taking my absolute time, controlling the heavyweight. The trunk is rattling strictly from the heavy subwoofer sound. The absolute heaviest vehicle, rolling, on the underground.
Listen to the bounce, tell me, can't you see?
This boulevard sunset
Is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy ride, cruising through the city with the absolute pride. Listen to the bounce, tell me, can't you see?
boulevard sunset
Is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy ride, cruising through the city with the absolute pride.
The last ray of the sun disappears behind the concrete horizon.
The absolute heaviest momentum
That we are
strictly patronizing.
street lights flicking on, illuminating the heavy paint, leaving the jealous competitors completely dizzy and faint. The lowrider is a heavy symbol of the absolute patience, commanding the heavy respect across the entire metropolitan nations.
They're dropping it all the way down to the physical floor,
Leaving the entire avenue completely begging for more. The spark blocks dragging, creating the heavy fire sparks, lighting up the pitch black corners in the dangerous parks. You cannot buy this absolute style with a regular check, protecting the heavy gold chains wrapped
strictly around the neck.
The bounce is incredibly hypnotic, putting the block in the trance. The undisputed king of the absolute mechanical dance.
Listen to the bounce, tell me, can't you see? This boulevard sunset is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy ride, cruising through the city with the absolute pride. Listen to the bounce, tell me, can't you see? This boulevard sunset is reflecting my degree, and I just love your flashy ride, cruising through the city with the absolute pride.
Yeah,
Keep the three-wheel motion,
strictly lock, Brooklyn style.
taking over the boulevard.
Let the heavy bass
Keep shaking the entire trunk.